Okay, let's deep dive into something with some serious history today. The 2025 Harley-Davidson Sportster 1200. We've got this article you shared that really zeroes in on this specific model.
That's right.
And our mission here is basically to unpack what makes it tick, pulling out the key stuff from the material you've given us.
Exactly. We've got this detailed look at the new model. And the Sportster name, I mean, it's legendary in American motorcycling, right? Goes all the way back to 1957.
Yeah.
Always been about that blend of power, a certain look, and, that heritage.
And this article, it frames the 2025 bike as a bold step forward. It's trying to fuse that legend status with some, well, genuinely modern tech.
Mm-hmm.
The source says it's designed for both traditionalists and tech-savvy enthusiasts.
Yeah.
Talks about cutting-edge technology, refined performance, and a sleek new aesthetic.
So this deep dive is really about seeing how that balancing act plays out, according to the material anyway. Like, what are the core specs? What features really jump out?
How does the article say it feels to ride?
Yeah, and what makes this version different?
Precisely. Let's jump into what the source highlights first.
Okay, well, what's immediately interesting is their approach to the engine. You've got the Revolution Max 1250T V-twin at the heart of it.
Right.
And a core takeaway here is it's liquid-cooled. Now, for a Sportster with that history, that's a pretty significant shift from the old air-cooled V-twins.
Yeah, that feels like a major talking point right there. A liquid-cooled Sportster.
Okay.
The material says it's a 1252cc engine, reportedly putting out 121 horsepower at 7,500 RPM and 94 pound-feet of torque at 6,000 RPM.
Mm-hmm.
And the article points out this translates to really smooth acceleration,
Yeah.
plenty of low-end ground, good for getting around town or, highway cruising.
And that liquid cooling, it isn't just about the peak power numbers. The material really emphasizes its key for consistent performance.
Oh, on.
Especially when things get demanding, where an air-cooled engine might, start to struggle a bit. Plus, the article notes the engine itself is a stressed member of the frame.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
Well, the insight there is they're using the engine's structure as part of the chassis itself.
Oh.
Helps shave off weight, makes the whole thing stiffer, which, improves handling.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So engine gets the modern tech treatment, but the source makes it clear the upgrades don't stop there. This is where the electronics package comes in, and it sounds, well, surprisingly extensive for a Sportster.
Oh, absolutely. You've got 4 distinct ride modes described: rain, road, sport, and custom.
Okay.
The article explains rain mode softens things up for slippery conditions, more ABS, more traction control intervention. Road is your kind of balanced everyday setting.
It's reiterated, yeah.
And sport sharpens the throttle response, pulls back on the rider, aids a bit for a more dynamic feel.
And custom,
Yeah.
that lets you actually tweak things yourself, like power delivery, traction control.
Yeah,
The article even mentions suspension damping. That feels pretty advanced for a bike called Sportster.
it does.
Does the source say how easy that is to use? Or is it set it and forget it?
The material presents it as a key part of tailoring the experience to how you want to ride. And beyond just performance modes that TFT display, it's not just showing speed and revs.
Yeah.
It's the hub for smartphone integration through the HD app.
Wait, so you could actually get turn-by-turn navigation, check diagnostics, manage calls or music right there on the screen
Yeah,
using Bluetooth.
seems so, yeah.
That's a level of digital stuff you might expect on a big tour, not necessarily on a, Sportster 1200.
It's definitely a shift. So with all this power and tech, safety must be a big focus too, right? What safety features does the article highlight?
Yeah, good point. The material points to several key systems. Cornering ABS is one,
Okay.
which helps maintain stability when you're braking while leaned over. Traction control, obviously, to keep the rear wheel in check. And assistant slipper clutch.
A slipper clutch, interesting. What does the article say that adds? Is it mostly for, aggressive downshifts, or does it help everyday riding too?
The article implies it's actually a big comfort and safety boost for just normal commuting as well. Makes downshift smoother, more controlled, reduces that kind of unsettling rear wheel hop you can sometimes get if you're a bit clumsy with the clutch. Makes the whole bike feel more forgiving.
Okay, that makes sense. So that's the performance, the tech, the safety. What about the actual bike you sit on? The material kind of shifts gears here to talk about design choices, rider comfort, accessibility.
Right, you still get that iconic teardrop fuel tank shape, which is, a nice nod to the past. Keeps that classic profile.
Definitely.
But as the article notes, it's paired with modern touches, like a bobber-inspired rear fender, integrated LED lighting all around. And the source does touch on the usual Harley thing, Lots of customization options available.
And comfort and accessibility seem like pretty big selling points highlighted in the article. The seat height is low, specified at 755 millimeters. That's about 29.7 inches.
Yeah, that makes it really approachable, doesn't it? Especially for, shorter riders or maybe people newer to motorcycling.
Exactly.
And the article mentions the seat is narrow too. Helps you get your feet down flat at a stop, feel more confident. And the riding position itself is described as upright and relaxed. Mid-mounted foot pegs.
Right.
Sort of striking that balance between sporty feeling and comfortable enough for a decent ride, according to the source.
And the material keeps coming back to the lightweight design. It mentions 228 kilos, which is about 502 pounds.
That is pretty light for a cruiser in this class.
Yeah, it's noted as being notably lighter than many competitors. And that directly contributes to how agile it feels, how easy it is to maneuver, especially at lower speeds.
So that lightweight thing, combined with the low seat, that's why the article seems to describe it as really urban-friendly and confidence-inspiring for beginners.
Makes sense.
While still being nimble enough that experienced riders won't get bored.
Right. And the suspension setup is described as high quality and more than adequate for everyday riding. City streets, casual cruising, you've got inverted front forks.
Adjustable.
Yeah, adjustable preload and rebound damping. And a rear monoshock with remote preload adjustment.
Okay, so you can actually dial it in a bit for your weight, maybe a passenger or some luggage. That flexibility is definitely a key point the article makes. And practically speaking, the fuel tank holds 11.7 liters. Gives you an estimated range, the article says, up to maybe 220 kilometers or 137 miles.
Which they suggest is decent for daily commutes and, shorter weekend trips. Not a cross-country machine, but capable.
Okay.
So if we kind of connect all the dots from what the article presents, the whole performance story is really about bringing modern capabilities to that classic Sportster name.
Yeah.
That powerful liquid-cooled engine, the precise throttle-by-wire, the layers of electronics like those ride modes. It all seems geared towards delivering a, dynamic and engaging ride.
It sounds like they've really tried to thread a needle here. Make a bike that's potent and exciting, but also manageable and safe, thanks to things like that cornering ABS and the slipper clutch you mentioned. The article keeps using phrases like balanced performance.
Exactly. It's presented as a motorcycle that, tries to respect its roots while fully embracing where motorcycling tech is now. It's positioned as versatile, good for the city, fun on back roads, okay for short trips. Approachable enough for new riders, but still engaging for those with more miles under their belt. All based on this material, of course.
So just to kind of pull that all together, we've covered the potent Revolution Max engine. That's a big change. The surprising amount of tech packed in those ride modes, the connectivity, advanced safety systems.
Yeah.
We've looked at its lightweight and accessible design, the low seat, the handling focus, and how the article really portrays its attempt to bridge that gap between the classic Sportster feel and modern capability.
It's definitely presented as a bike trying to offer something to a pretty wide range of riders, blending that legacy look with very contemporary performance and safety tech.
And, seeing how much technology and, modern performance gets packed into a nameplate with such deep tradition, it does make you wonder, doesn't it? As these iconic lines like the Sportster evolve with things like liquid cooling, advanced electronics, multiple ride modes, how does that change our definition of what a classic motorcycle even is?
That's a really interesting point.
What does heritage really mean in an age of advanced rider aids and digital dashboards?
Yeah.
Just something for you to mull over as you think about this modern take on a real legend.